want to, if I can today, just talk about the elephant in the room. I'm sure a lot of people that are watching my podcast today or listening to it expect me to say something about the news that broke yesterday. And I'm absolutely heartbroken. Sick to my stomach would be the word over what happened, where a very well-known, well-loved, very gifted man, Pastor Kenneth Baldwin from Virginia, is facing some serious felony charges of texting, to say the least, just highly inappropriate pictures of himself to a minor, a boy up in Pennsylvania. And the progression that has to take place in a person's mind and heart to get to that place is something that I pray to God that I never experience and that none of us do. I cannot imagine convincing yourself at some point that this is okay. The thing, though, that bothers me as much as what he's done is the way people are responding to it. And, I'm not going to do a podcast on how wrong it is to text lewd pictures of yourself to little boys. We're in such a mess right now in this country. And we look at what's going on in the world, we look at what's going on in politics, and I shake my head and go, these people are out of their mind. And then I go read the comment section on my Facebook page, and I realize that independent Baptist church members are some of the stupidest, absolute imbeciles. Excuse me for just being blunt. I'm talking about idiotic, brain-dead morons sitting in our independent Baptist churches. They get more upset over a pastor sharing a link than they do over the fact that this man has been texting pictures of himself to a kid for over a year, preaching youth conferences all over the country. And their only response is, we need to pray for him, pray for his family. Is that the best you can do? I'm just going to say it because nobody else is saying it. If your first response to a pastor grooming, let me slow down a minute. The boy met him at his church. The pastor had the man in to preach to their church. He exchanged phone numbers. This is all in the article. And that's all I know. All I know is what's in that news article. I don't know anything else. I knew something was wrong because he went completely dark, hadn't preached in his own pulpit, canceled all of his meetings, hadn't been on social media. I knew something was wrong. I told my wife, I said, we'll just find out when it comes out. But something's wrong. Something's wrong. And of course, I didn't never dream it'd be this. Honestly, I didn't dream it'd be this. I knew something was wrong. I've texted several people. I said, I'm afraid for what we're going to find out because something's wrong. People are asking me, where's Kenneth Baldwin? I was like, I don't know. We don't talk. I don't run in those circles. I don't know where he's at. I don't know what he's doing. I know his dad got up in the pulpit a week or so ago and said, we need to pray for our pastor. He's having mental battles and he's having physical battles and spiritual battles. And I think it might be COVID related. Sure, that didn't age well. But I hope and pray there's somebody in that church who's got some leadership to stand up and do the right thing, or that church will not survive this. But, I posted 2 days ago, I posted an article on my Facebook page. I sit here and type that thing out. Some guy got on there and said, that was AI. And I just blocked him and deleted it. I don't need AI to write my Facebook post for me, okay? They don't write my messages. They don't write my what I preach. They don't write what I put. AI don't write my Facebook post. I wrote that. That was on my heart. And for somebody to get on my Facebook page and accuse me of using AI to write something, it's ridiculous. I just blocked him and I deleted it. But I wrote that from my heart. I sat right here at this desk and I wrote, we are all sick and tired of it. I put that up on Tuesday. And then yesterday I get the phone call and read the article, and I'm just thinking, here we go again. And that's literally what my Facebook post said. Here we go again. God have mercy. This makes me sick to my stomach. And there are people getting on my Facebook page under that comment and accusing me of gloating. Some people may be gloating. I'm not gloating. Lord have mercy. Who's gloating? Gloating over the fact that a preacher is preaching in another state. A young man comes up to him after the service, strikes up a conversation, probably had him sign his Bible, probably said, I really enjoyed the message, exchange phone numbers. And then my mind begins to go back to what kind of conversations were taking place in those text messages to even get to the point to where you can start sending lewd photos of yourself to this boy. And then to do it multiple times a week for a year. My mind is racing. How many other boys are out there getting this kind of stuff on their phone? Has anything been done to hurt anybody in that church? I mean, how does a man that is a secret homosexual groom a boy, send him these pictures, and that's the only person, that's the only one? My mind begins to race because I was a victim when I was 17. I was a victim of a physical sexual crime. People don't understand why I get so worked up. My question is, how can you not get worked up? Your only response is Galatians 6:1. Are you out of your mind? The comments under my Facebook post is the dumbest, most idiotic responses. I don't understand. One person said, sad that most on here has a told you so response. No, they don't. I just read most of the comments. Nobody said I told you so. But could we all pray for the innocent involved rather than saying I told you so? Nobody said I told you so. I haven't said it. Then somebody says, finally a comment with a sense of reason since Shiflett felt the need to post the news. So now I'm the problem? Seriously? You're going to turn your guns on me? But this is what happens. A very well-known evangelist commented, finally, a scriptural response. So I responded, Matthew 18:6, whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and he were drowned in the depths of the sea. That was by Jesus Christ himself. And I said, how's this for a scriptural response? Oh, I agree 1,000%. I just think the whole ordeal should cause us to weep and not gloat. Who's gloating? You see the gaslighting? You see how they twist it. I'm the bad guy for sharing a news article that everybody and their mamas that knows about, but I'm a bad guy because I didn't say pray for him. Let's restore him. You want to restore him? Go for it. He's done. He ought to be in prison for the rest of his life. You're going to restore a sodomite pedophile. I don't have the words. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in the fault, you with your spiritual restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Yeah, you need to be real careful what you say about Kenneth Baldwin because it could be you sending nude pictures of yourself to little boys next. Are you out of your stinking mind? I am so sick of this response. It's gaslighting. It's gaslighting. Well, he really loved the Lord and he loved people. No, he didn't. He was a good man. No, he wasn't. He's a pervert. He admitted to it. Can we just stop? Can we stop with this insanity, this perverted thinking that is enabling and perpetrating this garbage in our churches? The leadership at Crossroads Baptist Church, and it's not my church, and I've got absolutely zero control over what they do. Somebody needs to get up in the pulpit, if they hadn't done it already, and say, we need to vote him out of the church. We need to clean this church up. We need to get rid of this mess. What he did was wrong. Stop saying, we love Pastor Baldwin. We're so thankful for all the many years of faithful service. He was a good man. He did a lot for me and my family. Stop. There's a boy in Pennsylvania, at least one that we know of, that is ruined and scarred for life because of that. I don't even want to think about what that boy's parents and his pastor is having to deal with today. And have been having to deal with since this came out. I don't even want to think about it. My heart breaks to think about what that boy. And there was, we need to pray for Brother Baldwin. We need to pray for his family. Well, obviously we need to pray for his family. I feel sorry for his wife. I feel sorry for his children. I feel sorry for the people up there in that church. That's a given. I mean, that's just a given. Anybody with any compassion, any Christ-like compassion at all, that's a given. But this, we need to pray for him, and it needs to be restored. And they attack. You get on my Facebook page and you attack me. You don't attack him, and I'm not saying you ought to. You don't attack him, you attack me. Well, he ought to be restored. The sooner we stop talking like this, and the sooner we realize that we got a problem. The problem's not just in the pulpit, the problem's in the pews. The problem is dumb sheep, blind, dumb sheep, Baptist church members that will just turn a blind eye to anything. You act like it makes you spiritual to say stuff like that. Jesus never one time said anything about restoring a person that offends little ones. He said it'd be better for you if a millstone was tied about your neck. That's what Jesus said. And let me just mention this while I'm talking about it. Sending selfies of yourself to kids and grooming kids, that's not a fault. If a man be overtaken in a fault, that's not a fault. That's some messed up, perverted, wicked, ungodly behavior. The word fault in that verse, literally means to fall. This wasn't a fall. He didn't stumble and fall. You don't stumble and fall into grooming and abusing children. You don't fall into that. You walk into it with your eyes wide open. You don't accidentally do that. The word fault literally means a lapse or deviation from truth and uprightness. It means a sin or a misdeed. I'm just saying, this super spiritual, this gaslighting, this virtue signaling. I'm reading these comments and I just roll my eyes, and I'm leaving them up there because I want people to see. This is what we're dealing with. We're not just dealing with a lack of integrity and a lack of character in the pulpit. We're not just dealing with men that are living double lives. We're not just dealing with men that'll get on their Facebook page and post a devotional and get up in their pulpit and preach while they're doing this junk. We're not just dealing with that. We're dealing with people in the pews that hadn't got enough discernment, hadn't got enough spiritual discernment to even know how to respond when something like this happens. And I know everybody doesn't have the same personality and everybody doesn't have the same life story. My life story brought me to this place. I'm obviously more sensitive and I'm more passionate about this subject than a lot of people because I've been there. I lived it. I was on staff at a church in North Atlanta where my pastor groomed me. Before I even got married, he groomed me and propositioned me in a motel room one night. I've been on the other end of this thing. I know what it feels like when somebody that you look up to, you find out that they're a pervert. You don't even know who you can tell. Will anybody even believe this? When I hear these stories, my heart goes out to the victims, their families, and the possibility that there may be more victims. If there's not more victims, I will be so thankful, but I will also be shocked. If that boy in York, Pennsylvania is the only person that Kenneth Baldwin has done anything inappropriate with, I pray to God that it's the only one. But did it ever occur to you that maybe getting the word out that somebody is a groomer and a pervert might help protect somebody else? Might give somebody else an opening and an opportunity to say, you know what? I've been getting text messages like that too. Preacher, why would you share something like that? Why would you tell everybody what he did? Why did God in his word tell us what David did? Why did God tell us that David sent a letter by the hand of Joab to have Uriah murdered? Why did God tell us that David walked out on the balcony of his house and looked at a woman bathing and brought her up to his house and committed adultery with her and had a baby out of wedlock? Why did God tell us that? I'm tired of people acting like it's not biblical or spiritual or ethical, or it's a slight on my character or on my call of God to preach by sharing a news article warning people that here's a man that people look up to and respect, and he's after your kids. You're going to turn your guns on me? You're going to turn your guns on people that are just letting people know? This is what I'm talking about. This cockeyed, weird, perverted thinking in our churches is as big of a problem as the perverts in the pulpit. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And they're so emboldened. Some of them are so emboldened by the stupidity in the pews that they will at some point try to get back in the ministry again, and they will. They will be allowed to. I mean, my phone blows up every single week of men that have done the most egregious, heinous acts. They still get to go to Bible college. They still get a diploma. They still get ordained. They still get to preach. They're still in the ministry. They ought to be in jail. And I just addressed the elephant in the room. We don't just have a problem in the pulpits. We got a problem in the pews. And I put a video out several years ago. I said it from my pulpit. I put a snippet out. I may put it back up there. Listen, I understand if we all don't see eye to eye on what Bible version we ought to be using. I get it. If you want to have an argument about Bible versions, we'll talk about it. I mean, I use the King James. That's all I use. But I mean, I can see arguing about a Bible version. I can see arguing about music. I can see us having an argument about dress standards and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate and what's Christian and what's not Christian and what's modest and not modest. You want to have that conversation? I'll have it with you. What I cannot understand and what makes no sense to me is how good people are arguing about pedophiles. How in God's name did we get to the place to where we are falling out with one another over how this ought to be handled? If your first response to the news that a man has been grooming kids and that he is a deviant, a pervert, your first response is Galatians 6:1, you got skeletons in your closet. There's something bad wrong with you. There's something seriously wrong. Your elevator don't go all the way to the top floor. I'm serious. You got a few tacos short of a combination platter. If your first response is, you with your spiritual restore such a one, what about the boy? Can we restore the boy and his family first? Can we see about the church he's in and the pastor that woke up this morning realizing that he's got a boy in his church that was getting text messages multiple times a week from a preacher he brought into the church? Could you imagine that, pastor? Can we talk about them? Can we talk about what's going on with the possible other victims that I pray to God don't exist? I hope and pray it don't exist. But I've been in this thing a long time. Rarely is there only one victim. Rarely has this only happened one time to one person. These guys get so emboldened. It's almost like they're invincible or something. I don't know. They can do whatever they want to do and get away with it. I'm saying to get a pass, but your first response is, I don't know why you had to post that. So I'm the problem. The news is about a pervert, a pedophile, a groomer, and you're coming after me? You want to pray for him, but you're coming after me. It's exhausting. I've had this conversation over and over and over and over again. And people get on my Facebook page and they say the dumbest things, and I guess they think it made them spiritual. I can grieve for Brother Baldwin's wife and his children and his church and the nightmare they're going through, the absolute nightmare that those people are having to go through right now. As they got the news that their pastor, my heart breaks for them. But I'm seeing the comments. Well, he loved Jesus. He loves people. You're crazy. And maybe we need some of these merciful, hyper-merciful people to balance out the people like me that want to take a millstone, tie it around somebody's neck and throw them in the lake. Maybe we need you to balance it out. I don't know. But we got to stop responding to sin. There's something going on in people's minds that doesn't compute. It doesn't make sense. I am so sick and tired of people that will call me a judge, attack my motives, accuse me of gloating when I'm not. But they won't say one word about that. It's just all mercy and grace and love and forgiveness and restoration to them. I'm the problem. No, you're the problem. If you think that way and you act that way and that's your line of thinking, you need a reality check. I will always be the voice for the victims. I'll always be the voice for those that have been abused and taken advantage of. And the ones that's doing these crimes can rot in prison for all I care. If that makes me un-Christ-like, then so be it. I'm tired of being put on the defense for warning parents and warning young people and warning church members about wolves. Wolves among the lambs. We've got wolves among the lambs. I put that on Facebook Tuesday. And then this news came out yesterday about Kenneth Baldwin. Oh, you're just trying to sell a book. Okay. Well, I ain't buying what you're selling either. So there. We need some pastors to get a backbone big as a saw log. Get some grit. Throw some gunpowder in your oatmeal. Stop tiptoeing through the tulips about this mess. Get up in the pulpit and call it what it is and deal with it, and deal with it hard. This restoration mentality, if that's your first default action, there's something desperately wrong with you. Restoring people back to ministry and to leadership that need to be in prison for the rest of their life. I woke up early this morning and thought, you know what, I'm not waiting until tomorrow to do my podcast. I got a construction project to work on tomorrow here at the church. We're getting ready for a family conference. I'm going to just go ahead and clear the air. So I hope something I said was a blessing, but if it wasn't, honestly, I don't care. None of my podcasts are monetized. I'm not making any money off this stuff, whether it gets 10,000 views or if it gets 5. Don't make a whole lot of difference to me. These are just an opportunity for me to share my thoughts, my insights. When Cameron Giovanelli was accused publicly of the worst impropriety, there were independent Baptist pastors texting other pastors raising money for his lawyers. A pastor got up in his pulpit just the other day, told his people, well, maybe it wasn't in the pulpit, he might have done it in the foyer, I don't know, but a pastor told his people, Stacey Shiflett got smitten with Bell's palsy because he rose up against God's anointed. Talking about Cameron Giovanelli. You can't make this stuff up. I got Bell's palsy. I mean, 30 to 40,000 Americans a year get Bell's palsy. But God gave me Bell's palsy. 8 years later, smote me with Bell's palsy because I stood with a victim and called out a pastor that was calling girls out of their classroom and bringing them into his office and doing only God knows what. God smote me with Bell's palsy because I rose up against God. I touched God's anointed. You're out of your ever-loving mind. This is pastors telling their church members this. This is the stuff I deal with. I'm not stopping. I'm not going to back down. I refuse to be silenced. I refuse to be intimidated. Your virtue signaling and gaslighting and all your super spiritual mumbo jumbo, you can take it and you can shove it in your ear for all I care. I'm not falling for that. Okay, I am absolutely immune to it. We need to pray for the victims and their families. Pray for Brother Baldwin's family. Pray for his church. Pray for his kids, his wife. I cannot imagine what they're dealing with. But I'm not interested in having a conversation about Galatians 6:1 right now. You can. You're welcome to volunteer to go restore him. Have at it. Good luck. A man that'll do what he did has got a seared conscience as far as I'm concerned. There's something desperately, desperately wrong. We got to stop thinking the way we've been thinking, and we got to start thinking the way God thinks. God is a God of justice and a God of judgment. He is a God of mercy. He's a God of forbearance. He's long-suffering. He's also a God of anger and wrath and judgment and justice. And if you can't balance it out, then just don't say anything at all. We'll all be better off. Well, thanks for tuning in. Wished I'd have had a more uplifting, encouraging, optimistic, refreshing topic to deal with today, but it is what it is. We will do a podcast probably next week. We'll see. We are in revival. Start Sunday with Brother Chris Simpson going all the way through. Next Friday night, we've been here 12 years, so we got our anniversary Sunday on Sunday. I will be preaching Sunday morning, Lord willing, at 10 o'clock. God laid a message on my heart yesterday. I'm the only person I know that has a guest preacher in to preach all day on Sunday, and I cancel all the Sunday school classes and move them into the sanctuary so I can still preach. I mean, I am burning. I'm on fire right now. My heart's on fire. And so if you get a chance to tune into that, you're going to want to hear that message Sunday morning at our church, 10 o'clock. Pray for our revival next week. If you hadn't had a chance, go look at the book, The Battle for Our Little Ones. It's on Amazon and Sherwood Publications. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for if you're still tuning in, still listening at 32 minutes in. I tip my hat. I appreciate you. Thank God for you. We love you. Pray for God's people. Pray for revival in this country. Let's pray for an awakening in the pulpits and in the pews. Okay, it needs to happen in both places. And I'll be the first to admit that I need God. I need him more than I've ever needed him before. I need his mercy. I need his grace. I need a wall of prayer around me, my family. And yep, well, it was kind of random and sporadic, but I hope it was a blessing. We'll talk to you next time. God bless you.